Good morning, internet land. Hi, everybody. We're just going to give it like 5-10 seconds for Instagram to jump on and be live with us, and then we're going to dive into our topic. So just bear with me for one moment. We'll do that. Okay. Okay. Hi, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to DIY Wellness, the show for people taking personal growth into their own hands. On this show, we explore different strategies for improving quality of life and well-being. We'll do an experiential at the end of today's episode to actually help you regulate your nervous system in real time and feel the energy of self-acceptance. So how am I taking personal growth into my own hands? Well, just that, learning how to have more self-acceptance. Today's topic is transform by not needing to anymore. So there's a paradox in there, right? We're taught to seek transformation, to advance, to achieve, to attain. That could be money, career, romance, or even our health, which is like a good thing. We should attain better health, right? And there's nothing wrong with chasing our desires at all. But we mistakenly believe we aren't complete yet. And we chase a future where fulfillment supposedly lives. But the truth is that fulfillment lives in only one place and one single place alone. And that place is the present moment. So in today's episode, we're going to learn how we've become so preoccupied with transformation and improvement, the paradox of seeking perfection in a reality that is inherently perfect, and then the art of allowing transformation by no longer needing it to happen. So that's what we're going to dive into this morning. And the first point, right? How have we become so preoccupied? Well, we live in a hustle culture. This is a culture that promotes constant transformation. And like in so many industries, in the beauty industry, we're sold this idea that we should transform how we look in order to improve and look better. We should de-age, or we should, dress formal, or whatever it is. It's all of these little improvements and transformations. In the wellness industry, we're taught to improve our level of joy, to reduce our level of suffering. These are fine. Obviously, these are not bad goals inherently. But it's just when we come at these goals from a place of incompleteness, from a place of unworthiness, like, oh, these are my goals because until I have them, I am not, or I am less. That's a flaw. It's a flaw in our thinking. It's a flaw in our culture. It's a flaw in our understanding of the nature of reality and the type of reality we live in. Culture teaches us that we're meant to keep improving, to keep optimizing, to keep streamlining, to keep perfecting until eventually we find perfect. But that's the thing. Perfect is a myth. There really is no perfect, except that there is, right? And so here's the paradox. There's two kinds of perfect. There's what society calls perfect, and then there's what nature calls perfect. And this is the thing. We're always told nobody's perfect, nobody's perfect, nobody's perfect. And so that's drilled into us. And that's based on a measurement of what society considers to be perfect, this little sort of idol, this totem, whatever, that we look up to and say, oh, this is the standard of perfection. And we try to attain it. That perfect is a myth. That perfect doesn't exist. But we don't realize that this idea that nobody's perfect, that's only true because of our definitions and our meaning making. To the perspective of all of the rest of nature, who are divorced from verbal language and analytical thought, pretty much all the time, their concept and their experience of nature is perfection. They have a constant experience of perfection because they do not know otherwise. They do not know that they should know otherwise. So our nature, our worth, our right and fact of existence is inherently perfect already. Even with our bad behavior, even with our mental suffering, who we are at our core is a perfect natural being chosen to be here by existence with all of its preconceived choices and causes. And they culminated in us, in you and me. And so here we are in that perfect culmination. Just like the deer out your window or the bird out your window is the perfect culmination of that cause and effect chain. They are perfect. We are perfect. We get lost because of language and because of our ability to reflect on things and give them meaning and assign negative meaning. That's why all spiritual traditions talk about piercing through the veil, piercing through the illusion. The illusion is language, and then language creates systems, and now we have all of these human systems, and those have gone to shit, right? Human systems have gone to shit. But that's because human systems have been created by the left brain, the verbal analytical brain, not our natural connection to our experience, which lives in our body, our nervous system, and the right brain. Things that, for whatever reason, our culture has learned to shun. And so humanity is still very much an integral part of the fabric of reality, even though human systems have gone to shit. How do I know? Because we're still here. That's reality. We are here. Why does all this matter? What does it even matter, right? Because society's version of perfect is an illusion, and it's not achievable, and it does not exist. But nature's version of perfect, our actual reality, is literally all around us and supporting us and abundant if we could just but have the eyes to see it. So having the perfection or having the standard of society's version of perfect, the white picket fence, the achieving, the 2.4 kids, the high powered job, whatever it is, that's the lowest standard you could have for yourself because it's a fantasy. And so you're actually holding yourself to nothing. You're holding yourself to a standard that is pure fantasy, made up by culture, made up by language, made up by society. So when you say you're attaining to that, even if you think it's for good and noble purposes, you're attaining to the lowest standard there is to attain to because it's not even there. However, nature's perfect. It's not a standard at all. It's a self-evident fact, and we can slowly move toward it. The old goal was improve yourself. The new goal is improve your experience of being yourself. So, how do we move toward an experience and an understanding of our perfection? Well, that's the last and final point. We do that through self-acceptance. Carl Rogers is like the founder of modern psychotherapy as we know it after Freud and all his nonsense was thrown out the window. And he has this quote and he says, "The curious paradox of transformation is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." And so that's really so true. And that's trauma-informed research supports this. IFS research supports this. Polyvagal research supports this. We need to be in a place of deep calm and self-acceptance and peace before we can really have transformation. We can't change through force and fixing. We change through allowing and through surrender and through self-acceptance. The analogy is like this, just so you know that this is true in your own life, true, because this is true for all humans, every single one of us, pretty much without exception. We don't like to be forced into things. So that's why if you say to someone, calm down, the answer is usually a hard no. Even if they want to calm down, saying to them, calm down means no, I'm not going to, because you're trying to push, you're forcing it on them. But if you become calm yourself and accept their rage, they'll calm right down. This is how hostage negotiation works. So you can, if you stay rooted and then totally have acceptance for the other party, total acceptance for their rage, for them being out of hand, for whatever, in that acceptance, they calm down. That's the kind of thing we can use on ourselves too. When we notice, okay, I'm having a part of me that's anxious, or I'm having a part of me that's angry, or there's a part of me that, screams at my children, whatever it is, you notice that and you bring radical self-acceptance to that part instead of doing what you normally do. And you say to that part, calm down, stop, knock it off. You can't behave like that. Don't do that. Of course, the part's like, no, because that's not going to work. That's no. But if you go to those parts, go to your own inner world and you say, yeah, you make sense. I see what you're up to. I see you're doing that. I see that. I accept you. I accept you. I accept you. I want to understand you. It's okay right now. It's okay. In that felt experience of self-acceptance, things shift. So you don't push or force change. The goal isn't even change. I mean, it is from a higher perspective, right? It's hard for us to let go of that. But if you can let go, even partially let go, then transformation begins to happen in spite of your efforts to make change. Because our efforts to make change are not the fuel for change. Our self-acceptance is the fuel for change, and it's the only fuel. So I can hear you. I hear you guys. There are some objections coming up, right? Like we have self-improvement. This is a trap because there's nothing about you that needs improving. But then we have experience improvement, on the other hand, where you can slowly move toward improving your experience of life while radically accepting yourself as you currently are. That's strong magic. So you're saying now, I can hear some of you saying growth doesn't matter, what self-destructive behavior is fine. No, we aren't leaving our experience the way it is. We're leaving ourself alone and working on changing our experience. That's the difference. That's the key point here. Transformation doesn't happen because acceptance is magical. Transformation happens because acceptance stops the internal civil war. And when the war stops, the system reorganizes naturally toward what it is in reality, toward what it naturally wants and intends to be, toward its functional, true nature, your inherent self, your self with a capital S, what I like to call your inner wizard. So now what I'd like to do is just lead you guys through a brief 10, 12-minute experience with tapping and internal family systems, just to touch into the feeling of self-acceptance. So take a slow breath and let your shoulders soften. And just remember, this is an eyes open and repeat after me practice. So you don't have to remember anything. You don't have to worry about following along or doing it wrong. If you know the tapping points and you want to close your eyes, that's perfectly okay. So just let your shoulders soften now. And in this practice, we're not trying to fix anything about ourselves. We're just exploring what happens when we become curious about the parts of us that feel like they always need to improve. So begin tapping on the side of your hand and then repeat after me. Even though parts of me feel like I should always be improving, I'm open to noticing what the pressure feels like. Even though I've learned that I'm never quite enough yet, I acknowledge how exhausting that can be. Even though part of me believes I must transform to be worthy, I am open to exploring a different possibility. Now let's move through the tapping points. I'm learning to accept how I feel. Top of the head. Eyebrow. This pressure to improve. Side of the eye. This sense that I should be better. Under the eye. Always optimizing. Under the nose. Always fixing something. Chin. Always chasing the next version of me. Collarbone. Like I'm not complete yet. Under the arm. This hustle culture voice. This belief that transformation is required. Okay, stop tapping there. Take a nice, slow, deep breath in through the nose and a long, slow exhale through pursed lips. And just sit with whatever's coming up for you. And reflect on this. If this pressure to constantly improve had a voice, what would it say to you right now? And just notice whatever arises. Just be with that for a moment. If you're watching this later on a recording, you can pause the video here and take as long as you need. And then when you're ready, return to the side of your hand. Even though part of me feels like I'm not enough as I am, I'm open to noticing where that belief lives in my body. Even though part of me worries I'll fall behind if I stop improving, I honor how hard that part works. Even though I've been taught my worth comes from achievement, I'm curious about what my system actually needs. Okay, let's tap through the points. Top of the head. This not enough feeling. Eyebrow. Always needing to improve. Side of the eye. This old story. Under the eye. The part that worries I'll fall behind. under the nose. The part that's afraid to stop thriving, under the chin, on the chin. The part that wants me to try harder, collarbone. It thinks pushing me will protect me. It's trying to help in its own way. Under the arm. I'm beginning to see how hard it works. Okay, stop tapping. Take a nice slow breath there. And just notice what happens inside you when you acknowledge this striving part might actually be trying to protect you. Just notice and just become curious. What if this part was really trying to protect me? These parts. And then just notice what happens inside you. What softens, what tightens, what shifts on its own. Pause the video here if you're watching the recording and you need more time. And when you're ready, you can return to the side of your hand. Even though part of me still believes I must improve to be worthy, I'm open to experimenting with self-acceptance. Even though self-acceptance can feel unfamiliar, I'm willing to try it for a moment. Even though my mind says I need to transform, I'm open to accepting myself exactly as I am right now. Okay, top of the head. What if I didn't have to fix myself? Eyebrow. What if right now I was okay how I am? Side of the eye. What if I could accept myself here? Just as I am in this moment under the eye. Under the nose. Not perfect by society's standards. Chin. But still worthy of existence. Collarbone. Still part of life. Still belonging to reality. Under the arm. Maybe I am allowed to be here. Okay, stop tapping there for a moment. Take a nice deep breath in and a long, slow exhale through pursed lips. And just check in with your system and ask, if you didn't need to become a better version of yourself for a few moments, what might relax inside you? And just notice the smallest shifts right here and right now. You didn't need to become a better version of yourself. Just for a minute, just for 1 minute, you could fully accept where you're at. What would shift? And just notice what shifts as you really try this. Allow self-acceptance. My old yoga teacher used to say, you can do anything well for 1 minute. So just give yourself 1 minute where nothing needs to change. Nothing is minded and everything is accepted by you with compassion and curiosity. And pause the video here if you need to, if you're watching later. And when you're ready, just return to the side of your hand, tapping. Even though I've been taught perfection is something I must achieve, I am open to the idea that existence itself may already be perfect. Even though my mind keeps searching for improvement, I'm willing to rest inside this moment. Even though I've been chasing transformation, I'm curious about what happens if I stop chasing? Okay, top of the head, this moment of being alive. Eyebrow, accepting this moment. Side of the eye, this moment of existence. Under the eye, nature doesn't question its worth. Under the nose, trees don't try to improve themselves. Chin, rivers don't apologize for flowing. Collarbone, they simply exist. And they belong here. And I belong here. And I don't need to apologize for existing either. Under the arm, I belong. Okay, stop tapping. Take a nice slow inhale. And just imagine yourself standing in nature. Close your eyes if that feels aligned, or you can cast them down. Maybe a forest, maybe near water, maybe under a wide open sky. And notice how everything around you simply exists. Nothing is trying to optimize itself. Nothing is chasing perfection. Everything is already participating in reality exactly as it is. Now imagine that same permission extending to you. You are not separate from this natural system. You belong to it. And for this moment, you don't need to become anything else. Just breathe and just be and just notice. Notice what your system feels like right now. You didn't force transformation. You simply allowed acceptance. And sometimes, oftentimes, most times, all the time, that's where the deepest change begins. So thank you for being here, everybody, and taking your own personal growth into your own hands. If what you heard resonates, then please share this video with those you know who might appreciate the message. And if you have questions about this, let us know in the comments. Here to help you get unstuck and celebrate wins. Because remember, DIY wellness means do it yourself, but that does not mean you have to do it all by yourself. Be back again next week at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday morning. Until then, keep taking personal growth into your own hands. Much love, everybody. Trust you, humanity. Bye.